Hello everyone, my name's Rhiannon. I'm a really big Fruits Basket fan. I've seen a lot of those impression review videos of the 2019 anime first episode, so I thought I'd do one myself. A little bit of background about me. I read the manga first, biggest fan of the Fruits Basket manga. In fact, it's probably my favorite fictional series of all time. That's pretty big statement to say. I liked the 2001 anime. To an extent. It's a lot lighter, very kawaii shoujo kind of thing compared to the manga, which goes into a lot more depth and a lot darker as it goes along. Kind of reminds me of like the Harry Potter books, how at the start it was kind of I was reading them around the same time, kind of a lot lighter children focus at the beginning of Harry Potter, and then it gets a lot darker as the series goes on and ages with the characters, and you can really much see that with Fruits Basket as well. As you learn more about the characters and the backstory, as Toru, you as the reader and as Toru, the main character, learn a lot more about the characters and some of the really shit things that have happened in our lives. And since the 2001 anime only covers the first 6 volumes out of 23 manga volumes, you don't get to see that much. I have the first volume here. I got the Tokyo Pop version of most of the manga. I actually started collecting the manga at what we call Armageddon Expo, which is like Comic Con for America. And so throughout my late teen years, I would go and collect these manga a few each year. I originally got them out of the library, our public library, and I actually read them out in order the first time I read Fruits Basket, but I then have read it at least a dozen times since, consistently through. So I know the series pretty well, and I'm hoping I could give a really interesting, insightful view of, I'm going to hope to do these episode reviews every time one of the episodes comes out and compare it to the manga and do my thoughts as a fan. I've seen a lot of complete newbies who haven't seen the show or the original show or read the manga, so that's quite interesting. I first heard that the 2019 remake of the show would be happening late last year, and I admit I cried. I was so happy that that Natsuki Tayaka was going to be involved to an extent, that she's the author of the series, and that they were going to follow the entirety of the manga all the way through to all 23 volumes and closely follow it. A lot of people have made the comparison to Full Metal Alchemist and Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood, about how the same thing happened, that the original FMA anime was only covered some of the manga and it kind of completely deviated, and then Brotherhood, which many people consider much better, came along and completely finished the series once the whole manga was out. So that's going to be similar to what they're doing with Fruits Basket, and the creator's involved to an extent, and she's approved this, which is really, really great. She did give them a little bit of direction around the fact that she wanted it to be different than her manga, specifically the art style. I think she's a little bit self-conscious about her art style, and it is a little bit dated because it was late 90s, early 2000s. But her art style really changes and grows throughout the manga as well, and that's really cool. Just same with the characters aging and growing, she really grows into her own Fruits Basket, and I'm getting really emotional. It's like something I grew up with, something that's held a lot of nostalgic value to me, and it kind of shaped me who I am today. This manga did. There are very few fictional pieces of media that have done that to me, and this is one of them. So I was so happy when I heard that this anime was going to come out and it was going to do it justice, and that's exactly what I felt when I saw the first trailer, that it was really going to do the series justice and show the people who hadn't read the manga, and the people who have read the manga, the complete series of this. At the time, I actually had a Funimation subscription, or I still do, because I was trying to finish the last few series of seasons of Fairy Tail, and for some weird reason the last few series of Fairy Tail I couldn't find the Japanese sub anywhere. It was only the English dub on like streaming websites, illegal streaming websites and stuff, so I was like, that's it, I'm going to get a Funimation subscription so I can watch the rest of the series in Japanese, because I'm a subs person. I'm very much a subs person, and I think that's also why I found the original Fruits Basket 2001 anime a little bit frustrating, because I watched it in English, and I actually have gone and rewatched the first episodes of the dub before the 2019 anime came out. I found it quite annoying voice acting, just like a lot of dubs are, you know, loud, preachy females, really annoying. And I know that they were going to get the English cast back for the dub of the 2019 anime, so I was like, this is going to be interesting, especially because I heard I kept my Funimation subscription so I could watch Fruits Basket, but only the dub was released on the Funimation one, and on Crunchyroll they're doing the subs. So I was like, do I get a Crunchyroll subscription to watch the subs? Anyway, so that was me to date, my background and history with Fruits Basket, and I'm gonna go section by section through the first episode. So I've touched on this a bit. I actually did watch the dub on Funimation first, because I think that was the one that first came out. I was like refreshing the screen when it first came out. I was like, it's out now, refreshing all the tabs. Voice acting, being toned down a lot, which is great. It feels more natural, more authentic. Specifically, I think Toru, which is Laura Bailey's, I think it's the voice actor for Toru. Like I said, I think in the original anime it was overdone, but it's really nice and subtle, and I actually really like her as Toru in the English dub. It works really well for me, and I like that they're pronouncing Toru as Toru, because I think in the original one they called it Toru, which was really weird for me. The next character I'm going to talk about also has a name change, pronunciation change, is Shigure, which is Shigure in the new anime. I'm not quite sure why, if that's the authentic pronunciation then okay, but I'm used to calling him Shigure. Best voice actor. This is amazing. I've forgotten the actor's name, but his acting portrayal of Shigure is on point. I think when I was reading the manga itself, I was imagining that voice in my head, and that is an amazing thing to do. I think that's only happened to me once ever, when I'm reading a book and I'm like, this is the person's voice I'm thinking of, and that was with the Expanse series, when I was reading the sci-fi Expanse series, and Eva Asala's voice actress is exactly who I imagined playing her in the TV adaptation. That was amazing. So I kept watching the dub purely for Shigure. No, Yuki's voice is good too. It sounds very similar to, because it's the same voice actor, to the 2001 anime. I always imagine Yuki being kind of monotonous, kind of soft-spoken, so that works, but I think there's like a weird husky, raspy, like too breathiness to the acting, which kind of annoys me a tiny bit, but otherwise than that, it's really good. Rest of the characters, good so far. I need to hear more of them. Kyo's gonna be a big character. I don't think I've got enough of Kyo. I like his first yo when he falls through the ceiling. I was like, yes, that's so Kyo. But right now, so this is his angry voice, which is a lot of the time, but I really need to hear more to be able to judge that. That's voice acting for the dub. I did go and watch the sub, and I really did like that too. But I think I'm going to continue watching the dub, which is really interesting choice for me, because I tend to go out of my way to find subs. But purely because of Shigure, I think I can't listen to anyone else's Shigure, so that's really interesting to me. And I like Kyoko's voice actress too. Feels very motherly, very exactly what I pictured her to be. The sound in the anime is like the background sound, and the music is really great. It's very atmospheric, very quiet, nuanced, and this is how reading the manga feels to me. It feels like, you know, Sunday morning, quiet birds chirping, really, and that's how I feel when I'm watching the 2019 anime. Like, there's quiet background, river sounds, or anything like that, but it's not overdone. There's no music over everything. It's just really nice, subtle sounds, and we didn't get an opening yet, but we got the ending, and oh my god, I also cried when the episode was ending. The ending song is beautiful, and I got so excited when I saw Momiji. I was like, Momiji's my favorite character, and it was just everything changes, everybody changes. It's really great. The animation is really pretty. So like I said, Takaya wanted it completely different. Well, not completely different, somewhat different from the characters. It's very modern, very shiny. I think all the characters are slightly slimmer and taller, but it's gorgeous. I have absolutely no issues with the animation. And I tend to only watch really well animated anime. I'm freaking picky like that, so it's great. So the main part is I'm going to go through the story. I have some notes, so if I look down, I'm going to be like looking at my notes. So it opens with a little bit of the original curse, which we don't actually get until much later in the manga. So that's interesting. And then it opens with Toru coming out of her tent, which is exactly, other than the Amake, exactly how it opens here. She greets the world, she's off to school, it's a nice day, and she says goodbye to her mum. Now, I did not notice the cap. And I know you've heard a lot of people talking, but very subtly when she's leaving and later you can see the cap next to her mother's picture, and it's awesome there. And you see it later in the episode when her mum's telling her to take it at her own pace. You see the cap being put on her head by some mysterious boy. So that's really cool that we get that early on, that Takaya has been thinking about this the whole time. And then we also, another thing that a lot of people pointed out is cliff. She's standing on a cliff. And everyone's like, what cliff? For the non-spoiler people. But like, yeah, I think that is the cliff. So that's pretty cool. And later when Shigure's like, cliffs often fall down in this area or they crumble, I'm like, whoa. So she runs into Shigure at the Soma house. And I love this scene. It's point by point how the manga and the original anime did it as well. I love when Kyoko, Toru's mother, is telling her the story. It's really cute, really nicely animated. Toru is adorable. And yeah, I think she goes to school after that with Yuki, and the Yuki fan club comes along, and there's this really funny moment when the Yuki fan club are harassing Toru, and then like these two schoolboys walk by and they're like, scary. It's I love that moment. And then Saki and Arisa come by, her friends, and like save her, and I love them to pieces. Those two are probably like up there in my favorite characters as well. It probably goes Momiji, Saki, Arisa, Haru, Toru, Kyo probably are my favorite characters. And we see the girls in like home ed class as they're like talking about Yuki being the prince of the school, but Hana's like, he's really mysterious, I can sense him with his waves. And they talk about how Yuki shunned this girl. I love the crab scuttle, that's hilarious. And of course Toru's doing all the work, but she's really good at cooking and cleaning, which we see in a later scene as well when she's at work cleaning really, really well, and the two other staff members are like, wow, the new girl's awesome, gotta keep her around. And this is like a theme you see with Toru as a main character. Like, she's not just your typical cute main ditzy main character, she's actually really hardworking, and like she's super kind and super caring, but she like works really hard. And that's because not everything comes naturally to her, as you'll see throughout the series as it progresses. She's really good at cleaning and cooking and that like home stuff, but she's also has to work really hard at school. I don't think like she's not the cleverest person, as you can see like later, spoilers, like Yuki tutors her. So then Yuki and Toru walk home. Well, Toru's walking to work and Yuki's walking home, and Yuki starts talking about like the cat and how the cat's really bad and stuff, but it's really creepy the way this is portrayed. And I'm just coming into this like pretending like I'm a newbie with my newbie hat on, like I've never read the manga, I never whatever. Just the way Yuki is just like, you gotta be careful, you know, you're really pale, you know, it's just like creepy as fuck. And I get like he's set up as this like mysterious pretty boy prince of the school, and they do this whole like romance aspect, like there's lots of sparkles and pretty fog around him. Toru's like, oh, he's so pretty, but like just that moment was really funny. And it actually, this goes back to later in the episode as well, when Yuki is like I'm gonna go dig her stuff out, and Shigure is like, what, alone? And Yuki's like, no, not alone, I have help. And he does that weird turn thing, and then all the glowing rat's eyes come up from behind him, and it's terrifying. Like, this could be like a horror genre. This novel, if you didn't know what was going on, could have been some weird supernatural kind of take on it, which is really funny, just like noticing how creepy Yuki can seem at the beginning. Like this scene, you can hear a car running through, and then there's blood, like red blood on the ground. And I think that was quite dramatic and quite dark, which is, I'm glad they're going this route, which is cool. But Toru's just so like, yeah, I don't care, I'm gonna live in a tent, even if there's slugs and ants. And I really love this like little like little pictures. Oh, and what I also really like is that there's a scene with her and her grandpa, and he calls her Kyoko, which is her mother's name, which I really love. This is set up for later. And she's like, I'm not, my name's Toru, grandpa. And he's like, thanks, Kyoko, pat pat. Toru is walking home, and Yuki and Shigure are too after they've eaten out, because both of them are slobs and can't cook and can't clean, which has obviously been set up because Toru is a really good cleaner and cook, as we've just seen in the previous scenes. Here's one other funny thing about Shigure, actually. I think in the anime he's going to be much more likable than in the manga. Like, I guess this is kind of spoilery, but Shigure is kind of a really interesting character. He has his own motivations for doing things. I mean, like, you can see he's kind of set up as a funny comedic relief. Like, he's laughing at Toru in the tent and stuff like that. I love this. I love that scene. It's brilliant. Even when they're sitting at the table inside, he's like, tent. It's hilarious. But I have a feeling he's like, I like Shigure as a character a lot. But yeah, I have a feeling we'll like him a lot more in the anime, which is really interesting. A moment I particularly like is when they're all in the table, they're sitting at the table, and Toru's telling them, like, can I please stay in the tent in the Soma land? And Shigure's like, it's dangerous and everything. Oh no, there's been a landslide. And what's really cool is from, like, new audiences' perspective, you're like, oh, he's psychic or something. No, but this goes into the whole, is this a horror genre? What's actually going on? Is some sort of supernatural element? If you don't know that they fucking transform into animals. So it's like, what is the moment where they're like, oh no, there's been a landslide, and Toru and Shigure are like, it can't possibly be where my tent is, could it? No, it can't be. It's a really funny, comedic, cute, adorable moment. The two of them bounce off each other really, really well. When Toru is going to sleep in bed and Shigure is there waving the fan, I love it. She's telling him how what's happened, losing her tent, isn't really that hard, considering that she wasn't able to say goodbye to her mother. And this was really emotional because every single morning she would wake up and tell her mother, hey, I hope you have a good day, I'll see you when you get back. And she worked really hard on a test that night and didn't wake up in time for her mum to say, I'll see you later. And this was really big for me growing up because I kind of had that slight OCD thing where I'd have to say goodnight, I love you to my mum every single night before I go to bed. And if I didn't, I was terrified that something would happen. And this manga only added to that. It must be awful, like Toru might blame herself. Like if I had said, I'll see you when you get back, maybe she would have been fine. Like, that must be really hard and heartbreaking. When I've forced people to read this manga, they've only got as far as the first volume. That was a moment that stuck out for them, that she wasn't able, or she didn't just say goodbye, like, I'll take care, I'll see you later. That's just so sad. It's beautiful. Adding to the creepy Yuki element, he's like, I got your stuff, yeah, oh, you should stay here. And Toru's like, no, what? And he's like, you have nowhere else to go. Like, it's just so creepy. On top of the, oh no, you're feeling pale and sick. And then the, you have nowhere else to go. And the, I'm gonna go dig up your stuff with my creepy army of rats. Like, in the first episode, I could see how you'd think Yuki is terrifying. And of course, Kyo falls from the ceiling, and he's like, yo, I'm gonna come attack Yuki. And Yuki's like, oh, you're a fucking moron. And then Toru tries to stop them by hugging Kyo. Like, great. Well, she doesn't hug him. She trips over and falls into him. And what I love is Shigure in the background. He's like going to get a vacuum cleaner. He's like, hears him breaking through the ceiling, and is like, huh, what was that? And then, like, Toru is holding up Kyo as a cat, and Shigure just comes in and is like, oh, was that Kyo's voice I heard? And then he sees the cat and is like, oh, it was Kyo. Like, Shigure is the best. Like, the comedy is just spot on. And then Kyo's facial reactions are adorable. Absolutely adorable. He's really annoyed and frustrated and embarrassed, and it all shows on his face, and it's beautiful. And she's like, what did I do? He's a cat, help, what do I do? And Shigure in the background's like, well, here's the thing. And it's just beautiful, wonderful way to end the first episode, and it matches the manga. It's just, I'm so happy. I hope you liked my review of the first episode of a 2019 Fruits Basket. I'm going to hopefully do the rest of this, follow along with the series. This first episode covered the first, let me see, like first couple of chapters. So it covered about this much. About this much of the first volume, and the second episode does about the same amount too. So third episode will probably cover the rest of the first volume, or maybe nearly the rest of the first volume. Yeah, about so. So take care, see you later.